Tessa Daniels, 17, black, homeless, pulled a drowning white teenager from the Potomac River and saved his life. Someone filmed it. Tessa left before anyone could thank her. She went back to the Honda where she'd been sleeping for 8 months. The boy's father, Alexander Whitmore, tech billionaire, found her in 48 hours. He sent someone to her car at midnight with an invitation. The next day, Tessa went to his mansion and told him everything. Her dying mother, the debt, the car she lived in. He made some calls. When she left 3 hours later, it was all fixed. Her mother had care. She had an apartment. The debt was gone. Tessa cried the whole drive home. She couldn't believe it. A miracle. Pure gratitude from a grateful father. That night, she fell asleep in a real bed thinking her life had finally turned around. And it had, but in ways far more terrifying than she could have ever imagined. Tessa's hands still shook as she twisted the key in the Honda's door. The gym parking lot sat empty except for a delivery truck and her car, home for the past 8 months. She climbed into the back seat, peeled off her damp hoodie, and pulled a towel from a plastic bin. Everything she owned fit in 2 bins and a duffel bag: clothes, toiletries, her mother's photo album, a laptop with a cracked screen. Her phone buzzed. Bank notification. Balance. $43.21 shift at the diner started in 90 minutes. Just enough time to shower at the gym, change into her uniform, pretend she hadn't just pulled a drowning kid from the Potomac. She opened a news app, scrolling absently. A headline caught her eye. Local teen rescued from Potomac. Bystander saves life. Disappears before paramedics arrive. There was grainy phone footage. Her leaning over the boy, pumping his chest, standing and walking away. 6,000 views already. Tessa exited the app. She didn't need attention, didn't need questions. She needed to stay invisible long enough to figure out how to afford next month's gym membership and her mother's care facility bills. The photo album sat on top of the nearest bin. Tessa opened it. Her mother, younger, smiling, holding 5-year-old Tessa at the National Zoo, back when her mother remembered everything, back when they had an apartment. Tessa closed the album and grabbed her towel. Alexander Whitmore stood at the window of the private hospital suite, phone pressed to his ear, watching his son sleep. Ethan looked small in the bed, 16 years old, and he'd nearly drowned because he'd been showing off for friends, walking the icy rocks near Chain Bridge. One slip. 3 minutes underwater before a stranger saved him. "Find her," Alexander said into the phone. "Sir, she didn't leave a name. She was gone before—" "I don't care. Someone filmed it. Run facial recognition. Check gym memberships, library cards, anything within a 3-mile radius. I want a name by tomorrow." He ended the call. Ethan stirred. "Dad?" Alexander moved to the bedside. "I'm here. The woman who pulled me out, did anyone thank her?" "Not yet, but they will." Ethan's eyes drifted closed again. Alexander returned to the window. He'd built a tech empire on solving problems. This was just another problem. Find the woman. Thank her properly, publicly. Turn a near tragedy into something inspiring. His PR team would love it. 2 nights later, Tessa woke to knocking on the car window. She bolted upright, heart hammering. A man in a dark suit stood outside, illuminated by a streetlight. Not a cop. Too well dressed. She cracked the window an inch. "What? Miss Daniels?" His voice was calm, professional. "My name is Richard Coleman. I represent Alexander Whitmore. He'd like to speak with you." "I don't know who that is." "The father of the boy you saved, Ethan Whitmore." Tessa's stomach dropped. "How did you find me?" "Mr. Whitmore is very resourceful." Coleman held out a business card through the gap. Heavy stock, embossed lettering. "Tomorrow, 3 p.m., this address. He simply wants to thank you." "I don't need thanks. Perhaps not, but he needs to give it." Coleman smiled thinly. "The address is in McLean. There's a visitor pass attached to the card. Security will expect you." He walked back to a black sedan and drove away. Tessa stared at the card. Alexander Whitmore, founder and CEO, Whitmore Technologies below it, an address in one of the wealthiest zip codes in Virginia. She should throw it away. She should forget this happened. Instead, she tucked the card into her pocket and lay back down, knowing she wouldn't sleep. The care facility smelled like disinfectant and overcooked vegetables. Tessa signed in at the front desk and walked the familiar path to room 14. Her mother sat by the window, staring at the parking lot. "Hi, Mama." Her mother turned. Her eyes, once sharp, always laughing, held nothing. No recognition, just polite confusion. "Hello," her mother said. "Are you new here?" The words hit like fists, every time, every single time. "No, Mama. It's me, Tessa, your daughter." "Oh," her mother smiled vaguely. "That's nice. My daughter's name is Tessa, too, but I haven't seen her in a while. Do you know her?" Tessa's throat closed. She sat down, took her mother's hand. "Yeah, I know her. She misses you." They sat in silence. Her mother hummed something, a lullaby Tessa barely remembered. After 20 minutes, a nurse appeared in the doorway. Tessa recognized her. Sandra, one of the kind ones. "Tessa, can I speak with you?" They stepped into the hallway. Sandra's expression said everything before she opened her mouth. "Dr. Morrison wants to see you. It's about the account." Tessa followed her to the office. Dr. Morrison, the facility director, sat behind a desk covered in files. He didn't waste time. "Miss Daniels, you're currently $8,200 behind on payments. I know, I'm working on it. I pick up extra shifts. We've been patient, but the board has guidelines. If the balance isn't settled within 30 days, we'll have to transfer your mother to a state facility. No, please. She's doing well here. The staff knows her. The state facility is adequate, but it's not this." He gestured around the office. Clean walls, bright lighting. Down the hall, a activities room where residents did puzzles and art therapy. The state facility was 3 residents to a room and 1 nurse per floor. 30 days, Dr. Morrison repeated. "I'm sorry." Tessa sat in her car in the parking lot and cried. Big, ugly sobs that shook her shoulders and left her gasping. $8,000. She'd need to work 18-hour days for months. And even then... Her phone buzzed. A text from Keisha, her co-worker at the diner. "You okay? You look rough." Tessa wiped her face and didn't respond. Another text. "That billionaire meeting tomorrow, what if he gives you a reward? Rich people do that, right? Could help with your mom?" Tessa stared at the card on the dashboard. Alexander Whitmore, founder and CEO. She'd Googled him yesterday. Net worth, $4.3 billion. Tech industry. AI research, known for strategic philanthropy. What if Keisha was right? What if he handed her a check, said thank you, and she could pay off the debt? But taking money from strangers felt wrong, like charity, like pity. Still, 30 days. She picked up the card. The next afternoon, Tessa stood in the gym bathroom, scrubbing her best jeans in the sink. They had a stain on the knee. She worked it with hand soap until her fingers ached. Her nice sweater, a gray crew neck her mother had bought her 3 Christmases ago, had a small hole near the hem. She tucked it into the jeans so it wouldn't show. She looked at herself in the mirror. Dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled into a simple ponytail. She looked exactly like what she was, exhausted and broke. The bus ride to McLean took an hour and 15 minutes. 2 transfers. The neighborhoods changed with each mile. Apartment complexes gave way to townhouses, then sprawling single-family homes, then estates hidden behind gates and hedges. The address on the card led to a gated entrance with a guardhouse. A uniformed security officer stepped out. Name? Tessa Daniels. He checked a tablet. ID, please. She handed over her driver's license. He scanned it, compared her face to the photo, and finally nodded. Proceed to the main house. Someone will meet you. The gates swung open. Tessa's hands tightened on the steering wheel as she drove up a winding driveway lined with bare oak trees. The house, no, the mansion, appeared at the top of the hill. Brick and white columns, 3 stories, wings extending in both directions. She parked her dented Honda next to a fountain and felt like she'd driven onto another planet. A man in a dark suit, not Coleman, someone new, waited by the front door. Miss Daniels, welcome. Please come inside. Tessa climbed out and followed him, feeling every stain on her clothes, every crack in her phone, every dollar she didn't have. The foyer was larger than Tessa's entire apartment had been, back when she'd had an apartment. Marble floors, a chandelier that probably cost more than a year of her mother's care, artwork on the walls that looked important. The butler, because that's what he was, an actual butler, led her through hallways that seemed to go on forever. Past a dining room with a table that could seat 20. past floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking gardens and tennis courts. He stopped at a set of double doors, knocked once, and opened them. "Miss Daniels, sir." The library was all dark wood and leather. Books lined the walls from floor to ceiling. A fire crackled in a stone fireplace. Alexander Whitmore stood from behind a desk, tall, silver-haired, 60-ish. Expensive suit, the kind of presence that filled a room. "Tessa, thank you for coming." His handshake was firm, warm. "Please sit." Ethan sat in a chair by the fire. He looked healthier than he had on the riverbank, color in his cheeks, dry clothes, alive. "This is Ethan, my son, the boy you saved." Ethan stood, awkward and earnest. "Thank you. I don't know what else to say, just thank you." Tessa nodded. "You're welcome. I'm glad you're okay." "More than okay," Alexander said. "Because of you. Please sit. Can I get you anything? Coffee, water?" "I'm fine." She wasn't fine. She perched on the edge of a leather chair that probably cost more than her car, hyper-aware of every thread on her jeans. Alexander sat across from her, leaning forward. "I've spent the last 2 days learning about you, Tessa. I know that might feel invasive, but I needed to understand who saved my son." A chill ran down her spine. "What do you mean, learning about me?" "Your background, your situation, your mother's condition, the fact that you've been living in your car for 8 months. His voice was gentle, but his eyes were sharp. "You dropped out of Georgetown to care for her. You worked 2 jobs, you're $8,200 behind on her care facility fees." Tessa's face burned. "You had no right. You saved my son's life. I have every right to understand who you are." He smiled. "And now I want to change your life." Alexander stood and paced to the window. $100,000, immediate payment, full tuition to any university you choose. Georgetown, if you want to finish your degree. Your mother's debt cleared. 5 years of premium care, fully funded. Tessa's breath caught. 100,000, 5 years of care. "Why?" she whispered. "Because you deserve it, because I'm grateful, because—" He turned back to her. "Because I want to share your story." There it was, the catch. "My company runs the Second Chances Initiative. We identify inspiring individuals and help them while using their stories to encourage others. You'd be our spokesperson, media appearances, speaking events. Show the world what's possible when someone gets the help they need." Tessa's stomach tightened. "You want to use me for PR? I want to celebrate you. There's a difference." "Was there?" Ethan shifted in his chair. "Dad, it's an incredible opportunity," Alexander continued. "You'd inspire millions of people. Your mother would have the best care available. You'd have financial security. All I ask is that you let us tell your story." Tessa looked at Ethan. He was staring at the floor. "I need to think about it," she said. "Of course. But I should mention, we've scheduled an announcement for Friday, 3 days. The media is already interested because of the viral video. It would be good to control the narrative before it gets away from us." Control the narrative. The phrase snagged on something in her mind. Alexander walked her to the door. "Take tonight. Think it over, but Tessa, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." As they reached the foyer, Ethan caught up. "I'll walk you to your car." They stepped outside. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. "Your dad seems intense," Tessa said. "He means well." Ethan shoved his hands in his pockets. When he wants something, he makes it happen. That's how he built his company." "And what does he want from me?" Ethan was quiet for a moment. "He wants to feel like he fixed something, paid back a debt." He looked at her. "Just read everything carefully, okay? If you decide to do this." It wasn't quite a warning, but it was close. Tessa drove away, watching the mansion shrink in her rearview mirror, Ethan's words echoing in her head. Tessa sat in her car outside the gym at midnight, phone glowing in the dark. On the screen, search results for Alexander Whitmore Philanthropy. Page after page of glowing articles. Tech Mogul's Foundation changes lives. Second Chances Initiative gives hope to struggling Americans. Photos of Alexander with people who looked like her, down on their luck, then transformed, smiling beside him at press conferences. But there were other articles, too, buried deeper. Critics say Whitmore's charity exploits personal tragedy for PR gains. Former recipient speaks out, "I felt like a prop." Tessa's phone buzzed. The social worker from her mother's facility. Tessa, I hate to bother you, but we need to discuss your mother's account. Can you call me tomorrow? Tomorrow. Always tomorrow. Always another bill, another deadline, another apology. She opened her banking app. $38. She thought of her mother's face, the vacant smile. That's nice. Tessa dialed the number on Alexander's card. He answered on the second ring. Tessa, I was hoping you'd call. I want to negotiate. A pause. I'm listening. I need help with my mother, but I don't want to be a spokesperson. I don't want media appearances or speaking events. Just help her. Please. Tessa, the story is already out there. The video has 12 million views now. News stations are running segments. People want to know who you are. Her stomach dropped. 12 million? You're already public. What I'm offering is a chance to control how the story is told. The next morning, Tessa returned to the estate. Alexander met her in the library with a lawyer, a woman named Patricia Green, sharp-eyed and professional. Alexander showed Tessa his tablet. News coverage everywhere. Homeless hero lives in car after saving billionaire's son. Viral rescue video sparks debate about inequality. Who is the mystery woman who saved Ethan Whitmore? Tessa felt like she was watching someone else's life unravel. This is what happens when we don't control the narrative, Alexander said gently. Let me help you, but we do it my way. Tessa's hands clenched. What does that mean? One press conference. You read a brief statement. We announce the partnership. Then you're free to focus on your mother and your life. That's it? One press conference? That's it. Patricia slid papers across the desk. This is a modified agreement. Your mother's care is fully funded for 5 years, $240,000 transferred immediately. You receive $50,000 as a personal payment. Temporary housing provided while you get back on your feet. $50,000. Not 100, but still more money than Tessa had seen in her life. And in exchange? One press conference. Use of your story for Second Chances Initiative materials. Participation in one promotional video. That's all we're asking. Tessa scanned the contract. The language was dense, full of legal terms she didn't understand. Can I have time to read this? Of course, Patricia said. But the press conference is scheduled for Monday. We'll need your signature by tomorrow. Tomorrow? Always tomorrow. Tessa sat in a coffee shop, contract spread on the table, trying to parse the language. Party agrees to refrain from public statements regarding Party B, Whitmore, without prior written approval. Foundation retains rights to use party's name, likeness, and personal story in promotional materials. Breach of agreement requires repayment of all disbursed funds. She should hire a lawyer, but lawyers cost money she didn't have. Keisha slid into the seat across from her. Is that it? Yeah. What does it say? That if I sign, my mom gets care and I get $50,000. If I talk to the media without permission, I have to pay it all back. Keisha whistled. 50,000? Girl, that's life-changing. It feels like I'm selling something. You're not selling anything. You saved that kid's life. This is just gratitude. Keisha squeezed her hand. Your mom is running out of time. You're running out of time. Sometimes you have to just say yes and figure it out later. Tessa looked at the contract again. The dense paragraphs, the signature line at the bottom. She thought of her mother. That's nice. She signed. 2 hours after Tessa sent the signed contract, her phone rang. Miss Daniels, this is Sandra from the care facility. We just received a payment for your mother's account. The full balance plus 5 years of advance care. Is this accurate? Tessa closed her eyes. Yes. We're also transferring her to the premium wing. Private room, 24-hour nursing care, specialized Alzheimer's program. She'll be moved this afternoon. That afternoon, Tessa stood in her mother's new room. Soft lighting, comfortable furniture, a window overlooking a garden. A nurse named Rachel explaining the enhanced care plan. Her mother sat in a chair, still lost, but comfortable. Safe. Mama? No recognition, but her mother smiled. This is a nice room. Yeah, Tessa whispered. It is. That evening, Alexander's assistant called. Miss Daniels, we've secured a furnished apartment for you in Arlington. Move-in ready. First 6 months paid. Here's the address. Tessa drove to the address, a modern building with a doorman and underground parking. Her apartment was on the 4th floor, 1 bedroom, full kitchen, a couch that wasn't covered in stains. She sat on the couch and cried. Relief. gratitude, and something else, something that felt like drowning. Her phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. "I'm glad my dad is helping you." "You deserve it. Just remember what I said. Read everything carefully." But she'd already signed. The week passed in a blur of surreal normalcy. Tessa woke up in a real bed for the first time in 8 months. She cooked eggs in a real kitchen. She visited her mother every day and watched her receive care that actually looked like care, not just medication and minimal supervision. The press conference was Monday, 3 days away. Alexander's PR team sent the statement she was supposed to read. Tessa opened the email and frowned. "I'm grateful for Mr. Whitmore's generosity. His foundation represents the best of American compassion, a reminder that when we pull together, anything is possible. I'm honored to represent Second Chances and show others that no matter how far you fall, there's always a hand reaching down to lift you up." It sounded like a politician wrote it, like corporate speak trying to sound human. Tessa rewrote it. "I didn't think about being a hero. I just saw someone who needed help. That's what any of us would do. I'm grateful my mother is getting the care she needs, and I hope my story encourages people to help each other however they can." She emailed it to the PR team. 20 minutes later, her phone rang. Alexander's assistant, cheerful and firm. "Tessa, hi. We received your edits. Unfortunately, the statement needs to stay on message with the Foundation's values. We'll be using the original version. But it doesn't sound like me. It sounds professional. Trust us, we've done this before. See you Monday." The call ended. Saturday night, Tessa reread the contract. She'd skimmed it before signing, desperate and rushed. Now she read it carefully. "Party agrees not to make public statements regarding Party B, Party B's family, or circumstances surrounding the event without express written consent from Party B or designated representatives." 5 years. She couldn't talk about that day, about Alexander, about any of this for 5 years without permission. Foundation retains perpetual rights to party's name, likeness, image, and personal narrative for promotional purposes across all media platforms. Perpetual, forever. Her phone buzzed. "Ethan. How are you holding up? Nervous about Monday? My dad can be a lot, but he really does want to help. Just don't let him take over your whole story, okay?" Too late, Tessa thought. She'd already signed. Monday morning felt like walking toward an execution. The press conference was held at the Whitmore Technologies headquarters, a gleaming glass tower in Tyson's Corner. Tessa arrived in a car Alexander sent. The PR team met her in a green room. "Let's get you ready." They handed her an outfit, a blue dress, tasteful and expensive, heels that pinched, makeup that felt like a mask. When Tessa looked in the mirror, she didn't recognize herself. "Perfect," the stylist said. The stylist. Approachable but polished, vulnerable but strong. Tessa felt like a doll. The conference room was packed. Cameras lined the back wall. Reporters filled rows of chairs, lights hot and bright. Alexander stood at a podium, confident and warm. "Thank you all for coming. 3 weeks ago, my son nearly died. A young woman, a stranger, risked her own life to save him. Today, I want to introduce you to that woman and announce a partnership that will change her life and inspire millions." He gestured to the wings. "Tessa Daniels." Tessa walked out, legs shaking. Applause filled the room. Camera flashes exploded. She reached the podium. The statement trembled in her hands. She read it word for word, the version they'd written. "I'm grateful for Mr. Whitmore's generosity. His foundation represents the best of American compassion." The words felt like gravel in her mouth. When she finished, Alexander took the microphone. "Tessa will be joining the Second Chances initiative as our Director of Youth Outreach." Tessa's head snapped toward him. "What?" "And we'll be sharing her story across our platforms to show what's possible when compassion meets action. Director of Youth Outreach." He hadn't mentioned that. That wasn't in the agreement. Or was it? Had she missed it in the legal jargon? A reporter raised her hand. "Tessa, how does it feel to have your life transformed?" The PR handler stepped forward. "We're not taking individual questions at this time. Thank you all." "Wait," another reporter called out. "Tessa, do you feel like your story is being used?" Tessa froze. The room went silent. Alexander smiled smoothly. "That's an inappropriate question. Tessa is here by choice." "I'm asking Tessa," the reporter pressed. Every camera turned to her. Tessa's mouth opened, closed. I'm grateful for the help. The words felt like a lie. The PR handler ended the conference. Thank you, everyone! By that afternoon, the clip was everywhere. Not Alexander's polished speech, not the announcement, just 5 seconds. Tessa's face when the reporter asked if her story was being used. The freeze, the panic, the robotic answer. Hero looks uncomfortable at Billionaire's gratitude event. Did Alexander Whitmore buy a black girl's story? Social media exploded. Something feels off about this. Why does she look terrified? Rich white man parading a homeless black woman around, we've seen this before. But others defended Alexander. He's literally giving her a job and paying for her mom's care. What more do you want? People always find something to complain about. Let the man do something good. Tessa watched it unfold from her apartment, stomach churning. Her phone rang. Alexander. Tessa, I'm seeing the coverage. Ignore it. This happens with any high-profile story. It'll blow over. You said I'd be director of youth outreach. You didn't tell me that. It's an honorary title. You won't have actual responsibilities. It just sounds better for the press. You should have asked me first. A pause. His voice cooled. Tessa, we have an agreement. I'm fulfilling my end. I expect you to fulfill yours. The line went dead. Her phone wouldn't stop. Messages from reporters, DMs from strangers, some supportive, many cruel. You sold out. How much did he pay you to smile? Embarrassing. Tessa wanted to respond, to explain, to tell her side. She started typing a tweet. I never wanted this attention. I just wanted to help my mom. Delete. She tried Instagram. The full story is more complicated than delete. Her phone rang. Patricia Green, the lawyer. Miss Daniels, I'm seeing some concerning activity on your social media. I need to remind you that under the terms of your contract, any public statements regarding Mr. Whitmore or the circumstances of the event require prior approval. People are attacking me. I should be able to defend myself. You can defend yourself, but you cannot discuss the Whitmore family, the contract, or the foundation without approval. If you do, you'll be in breach. That means repayment of all funds disbursed, including your mother's care. That's $185,000. Tessa's blood turned cold. You're saying I can't talk? I'm saying you need to be strategic. Let us handle the media. That's what we're good at. Trapped. She was trapped. Late that night, Tessa sat in her apartment staring at her silent phone. She'd turned off notifications, couldn't stand watching anymore. A knock at her door. Ethan stood in the hallway, hands shoved in his pockets. Can we talk? They sat in a 24-hour diner 3 blocks away. Ethan ordered coffee he didn't drink. I'm sorry, he said finally. For what? For not warning you better, for not... He stopped, pulled out his phone. I need to show you something. He opened his text messages. Scrolled back 2 weeks. Texts between Alexander and someone labeled Mitchell PR. Alexander. Found her, young, black, homeless, perfect story. Mitchell. Viral potential? Alexander. Absolutely. Let's maximize this. Another text chain. Alexander. We need the press to know she's living in her car. Leak it to Davis at the Post. Mitchell. Done. Running tomorrow. Tessa's hands shook. He leaked my story? He does this, Ethan said quietly. Finds people in bad situations. Helps them, but only if he can control the narrative. There were others before you, 4 that I know of, all signed contracts like yours, all trapped. Why didn't you tell me before I signed? I tried. I told you to read everything carefully, but... He looked miserable. I didn't think he'd move this fast. I thought you'd have more time. Tessa felt like the floor had dropped away. What happened to the others? One tried to speak out. My dad's lawyers bankrupted her with legal fees. The others just disappeared, stayed quiet, took the money and stayed quiet. I saved your life, Tessa whispered, and your father bought me. Ethan's eyes were wet. I know, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Tessa didn't sleep. She sat on her expensive couch in her expensive apartment and felt like she was suffocating. She'd saved a life, done the right thing, and somehow she'd ended up here, silenced, packaged, sold. By dawn, she'd made a decision. She'd walk away, forfeit the money, move back into her car. Her mother would be transferred to the state facility, but at least Tessa would own her own story. Then she called the care facility. Hi, this is Tessa Daniels. I need to know if I can't pay, how quickly would my mother be transferred? We'd give you 30 days notice, but realistically, the state facility has a wait list. She'd likely be in transitional care for 3 to 4 months. It's not ideal. Shared rooms, minimal staff, 3 to 4 months of chaos. For a woman who didn't understand where she was or why. Tessa hung up. She couldn't do it. Couldn't put her mother through that. She was trapped. The next morning, an email appeared in Tessa's inbox. From jordan.matthews@independent-post.com. Subject: I'd like to talk. Miss Daniels, my name is Jordan Matthews. I'm an investigative journalist. I've been researching Alexander Whitmore's philanthropy for 6 months. I believe you're not the first person he's done this to. If you're willing to talk, off the record, completely confidential, I'd like to help you. No pressure, just offering. Tessa stared at the email. It could be a trap, a test from Alexander's team, or it could be a way out. She wrote back, "Coffee? Tomorrow?" They met at a cafe in Arlington. Jordan was mid-30s, sharp-eyed, carrying a worn messenger bag. "Thank you for meeting me." "I don't know what I can tell you," Tessa said carefully. "I signed a contract. I know. I've seen contracts like yours before." Jordan pulled out a folder. 4 people, all signed similar agreements with Whitmore's foundation between 2019 and 2023. All were in vulnerable situations. All had their stories used for PR. All were silenced by non-disclosure clauses. Jordan slid photos across the table. People Tessa didn't recognize. But she recognized their expressions, the same trapped look she'd seen in her own mirror. What happened to them? 2 stayed quiet, took the money, disappeared from public life. 1 tried to speak out. Whitmore's legal team buried her in lawsuits until she went bankrupt. The 4th, Jordan paused, committed suicide. Family said the pressure and loss of control over her own life destroyed her. Tessa's stomach turned. "I've been trying to expose this pattern for months," Jordan said. "But without someone willing to go on record, I have nothing. The contracts are airtight. The NDAs are brutal. If I talk, I lose everything. My mother loses everything." "I know." Jordan leaned forward. "But if we expose him publicly, with evidence, with your contract, with the others willing to testify, we might be able to void the agreements. Fraud, coercion, unconscionable contracts. It's possible." "Might. Possible. Those aren't guarantees." "No," Jordan admitted. "They're not. But staying silent is a guarantee that he'll do this to someone else." Tessa thought of the photo. The 4th person committed suicide. "I need to think. Take your time. But Tessa, he's receiving the Philanthropist of the Year award next month. Big gala, media coverage. If we're going to do this, that's the moment." That night, Ethan texted her. "Are you okay? I've been worried." Tessa called him. "Your dad is getting an award next month. Philanthropist of the Year." "I know," Ethan said quietly. "I'm supposed to present it to him. What if I told you I want to stop him? Expose what he's really doing?" Silence. Then, "How? A journalist, evidence, public reveal at the gala? Tessa, he'll destroy you, legally, financially. He already destroyed me. He just made it look like generosity." She paused. "I need your help. You said there were files, emails, proof." "There are, on his private server, but if he finds out I helped you—" "I know, I wouldn't ask if there was another way." A long pause. Then, "Okay, I'm in." "Why?" "Because you saved my life, and because what he's doing isn't gratitude, it's control, and I'm tired of watching him do it." They made a plan. Ethan would access his father's files, Jordan would build the story, and Tessa would take the stage at the gala and tell the truth. It was reckless. It was dangerous. It was the only way out. The Capitol Hilton ballroom glittered like something from a movie. Crystal chandeliers, tables draped in white linen, 500 guests in tuxedos and gowns, politicians, tech executives, philanthropists. Tessa stood near the back in the dress Alexander's team had selected. Navy blue, elegant, expensive, a costume. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Jordan was in the audience, camera hidden in her purse. Ethan was backstage, pale and nervous. The plan was set. All Tessa had to do was get to the microphone. The evening crawled forward. Speeches. A 3-course dinner Tessa couldn't eat. A video montage of Alexander's charitable work, including footage of Tessa at the press conference, smiling that fake smile. Finally, the award presentation. The MC took the stage. Tonight, we honor a man who has dedicated his life to giving others a second chance. Please welcome this year's Philanthropist of the Year, Alexander Whitmore. Applause thundered. Alexander walked to the stage, gracious and humble. Thank you, truly. This work isn't about me, it's about people like Tessa Daniels. He gestured to her. Spotlight swung. Everyone turned. Tessa saved my son's life. But more than that, she reminded me why we do this work. Stand up, Tessa, please. She stood. More applause. Actually, the MC said, we thought Tessa might want to say a few words. Alexander's smile didn't falter, but his eyes flashed. This wasn't in the script. Tessa walked to the stage. Her heels clicked on the marble floor. The microphone seemed miles away. She reached it, looked out at 500 faces. Alexander stepped aside, giving her space, giving her rope to hang herself. Thank you, Tessa began. Her voice shook. I want to share the truth about my transformation. She pulled the contract from her clutch, held it up. This is the agreement I signed with the Second Chances Initiative. I'd like to read you a few parts. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Alexander's smile froze. Section 4. Party agrees not to make public statements regarding Party B without written approval. Section 7. Foundation retains perpetual rights to party's name and story. She looked up. Perpetual. Forever. The room was silent. Mr. Whitmore told me he wanted to help me, and he did. He paid for my mother's care. But he also bought my silence. He leaked my personal story to the media without my permission, then offered to control the narrative if I signed his contract. A screen behind her flickered to life. Ethan, backstage, had activated the presentation. Text messages appeared. Giant, undeniable. Founder, young, black, homeless, perfect story. Let's maximize this. We need the press to know she's living in her car. Leak it. Gasps. Whispers. Alexander stepped forward. This is taken out of context. Is it? Tessa's voice was stronger now. Because I have 4 other people who signed contracts just like mine. 4 other inspiring stories you controlled and silenced. Jordan stood in the audience, holding up her press badge. Jordan Matthews, Independent Post. I verified everything. This is a pattern. The ballroom erupted. People standing, talking over each other, camera flashes. Alexander tried to take the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, please. Ethan walked onto the stage, stood next to Tessa. She's telling the truth, he said into the mic. I have the files, the contracts, the emails, all of it. Alexander stared at his son. Ethan, what are you doing? What you should have done. The right thing. Security tried to shut down the presentation. Too late. Phones were out. People were filming. Alexander's lawyer rushed to the stage. Miss Daniels, you're in breach of contract. A contract signed under coercion, Jordan called out. Unconscionable and likely unenforceable. A senator stood. Mr. Whitmore, is this true? Did you exploit this woman? I helped her. You controlled her, Tessa said. There's a difference. The MC tried to restore order. Ladies and gentlemen, please. But the gala had dissolved into chaos. Half the room was on their phones. Reporters were swarming. Alexander was surrounded by people demanding answers. Tessa stepped off the stage and walked toward the exit. Jordan and Ethan followed. Outside, the cold night air hit her face. She gulped it down, hands shaking with adrenaline. You did it, Jordan said. It's already trending. #believe Tessa. Ethan looked back at the hotel. My dad is going to... I know, Tessa said, but I don't care anymore. For the first time in weeks, she could breathe. By midnight, the video had 30 million views. Philanthropist exposed, billionaire bought hero's story. Tessa Daniels reveals contract that silenced her. Son turns on father, Ethan Whitmore provides evidence. Morning shows scrambled to book interviews. Legal analysts debated the contracts. The other 4 people Alexander had silenced came forward. One by one, they told their stories. A single mother he'd helped after her house burned down, then used her tragedy in fundraising videos without permission. A veteran he'd given a job to, then forced to appear at events and couldn't quit without repaying $85,000. A teenager he'd sent to college, who wasn't allowed to talk about her own life for 5 years. And the 4th, the one who hadn't survived. Her family shared her story, her journal entries about feeling trapped and used. The foundation launched an investigation. Board members resigned. Donors pulled funding. Alexander released a statement. I deeply regret if anyone felt their autonomy was compromised. My intentions were always to help, never to harm. But the damage was done. Within a week, he'd stepped down as CEO of Whitmore Technologies. The foundation was dissolved. Lawsuits were filed. And Tessa's contract, along with the others, was declared void. The apartment Alexander had provided was no longer hers. Tessa moved back into a smaller place she could afford, a studio in Silver Spring, modest but hers. The settlement came through. Anonymous donor, Ethan, using his trust fund, paid for 10 years of her mother's care. No strings, no contracts, just help. Tessa enrolled at community college, part-time, social work program. She'd finish her degree eventually, but on her own timeline. The viral fame faded. Her follower count dropped. The news cycle moved on, and Tessa was grateful for the quiet. She visited her mother every Tuesday and Thursday. Same routine, same hope that maybe today would be different. This Thursday, she brought flowers. Her mother sat by the window, humming. Hi, Mama. Her mother turned, looked at her, really looked. Tessa? Tessa's breath caught. Yeah, it's me. My baby. Her mother's eyes cleared just for a moment. Just long enough. Did something good happen? You look lighter. Tears spilled down Tessa's cheeks. Yeah, Mama, something really good. Her mother reached for her hand, squeezed it. They sat like that, holding hands, while the sun set outside the window. 5 minutes later, the fog returned. Her mother blinked, confused. Hello? Are you new here? But Tessa had gotten her 5 minutes, and it was enough. Ethan met her for coffee once a week. They didn't talk about Alexander. He'd moved to California, keeping a low profile. How's school? Ethan asked. Good, hard, but good. And you? Working with Jordan on a nonprofit, transparent charity practices, making sure what my dad did doesn't happen to anyone else. That's good. They sipped their coffee in comfortable silence. Thank you, Ethan said finally, for saving me, twice. Tessa smiled. We saved each other. 3 months later, Tessa started working at a nonprofit called Safe Harbor, helping homeless youth navigate resources. She used her story not as inspiration porn, but as a warning. Read everything, ask questions, don't let anyone own your narrative. The kids listened, because she'd been there, because she understood. One afternoon, a 17-year-old girl came in, living in her car, struggling, scared. Tessa sat with her. Tell me what you need, the girl cried. Tessa handed her tissues and didn't offer empty promises. We'll figure it out, Tessa said. Together, no strings. And she meant it. Tessa Daniels graduated with honors from community college and now directs a program connecting homeless youth with ethical support services. Alexander Whitmore paid restitution to all previous Second Chances Initiative participants and stepped back from public philanthropy. Ethan Whitmore advocates for transparent charity practices and serves on nonprofit ethics boards nationwide. Dawn, the Potomac riverbank where it all started. Tessa stands at the water's edge, running shoes on, breath misting in the cold air. What would you have done in Tessa's place? Let us know in the comments below. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more true stories of courage and justice. Share this with someone who needs a reminder. Your story is yours.